Hey, Laura J, unlayering in my new layer, my home space, where I wish to be with whom I wish to be. And I say this because you haven't heard from me in a bit. And I'm going to paint my face and give you a different taste of that which is in one form now and will appear to be slightly altered after, because I've got a new layer of additives put onto it, which are not actually good for us when we actually look at the chemicals that are in the products that are being used, and yet we have got used to consuming. And so we do it anyway, or I should say I do it anyway in this moment, and others also, or I wouldn't have the products in the first place, because we have become accustomed to being consumers, reactors instead of being creators. We either are using our imagination to create, or we are going to fall prey to consuming the vision that some man or woman with vision and imagination then created a whole Asian state, that being form brought to that which was only of the mind before. Three-dimensional aspects were put into action in order to change substance to form. I'm referring to Socrates' construct, which has now been referred to as vitalism and materialism. But what he originally said was that it is about two things that are truly true in life: what is real and what is unreal. Those were the two. Vitalism became known as what is real, and materialism became known as what is unreal. Or it would be the reverse, actually. Vitalism would be deemed to be unreal because it's unprovable, it's insubstantiable. If you can't actually stand on it, how are you going to prove your point in court? So, that actually brings me to what I really wanted to share with you, which is why I'm going to put on some mascara and say masks need not scare us if we actually understand that Shakespeare at it, truly was correct when he said we are all but actors on the stage of life, with our entrances and exits into the scene or onto the scene, paraphrasing entirely. But it would seem that what we didn't realize is that he was actually talking about the double entry accounting system. Did you know? Double booking accounting system? Yeah, it's basically where you've got four quadrants. You got the heavenly realm in the private, and you got the ecclesiastical realm in the public. My cat comes in and starts making some noise and wanting some love there when I say it. And this is my moose, my Maximus James, who has made his transition here now for a week, and that is very exciting. Not so much for him, though. Now he is not alone when I am not here, for there are many of us home and also on the roam when we are. But the point is, now it is chilly, and I proved my point about taking layers off. So because it was only for dramatic effect that I did that, I'm gonna put my layers back on and say that I created a manuscript before we moved here, Moose and I. And that manuscript is the script yo woman, the woe of man, the woe, of man. Yeah. Some days I can be that for mine, for certain. And he for me at times, and she and the one who is the other for you. And everyone else too, for these are just examples of roles that we play when we don't understand the tolls that we pay when we step into the public. The double booking entry accounting system, or the double entry accounting system, or the double entry booking system, I believe is what it's referred to technically. But I wrote that in the manuscript that I haven't shared yet because I haven't figured out how to actually get this information out in the way I feel it needs to go. So I haven't actually let it flow outside of knowing that it is done. It is ready for me to put into a program format. And it is something you can sign up for through PIWU.ca in the email series that you can sign up for, where I will start communicating more with those who have subscribed. And currently there are only 62. So, woo! To you who have agreed to receive the messages that I send over the last few years, while my messages have been very long-winded and wordy, unnecessarily. But it was as necessary as it was because it was the best that I could do, and that's all that I can do. So I offer you my best always. And I've gotten better than I was before. And now I'm working to even more so reduce the words so that we can actually connect at the heart space where the information that I have brought forward and intuitively quested in order to find and asked ChatGPT a lot of questions in order to get some of the information that I needed to in order to put this bigger picture of the real story of Rome into perspective, including talking about perspectivism and the 3 different offices that we don't understand our person actually has in the public through the first, second, and third person offices. We didn't know that the propuria persona is the appropriate persona that we wear in the public. That's the mask. Did I even finish my mascara? Well, you can see, because is it scaring ya or is it not? The pirate says, "Arr, she's hot." Just kidding. I'm playing. But in the scheme of things, I do love myself. And it's not selfish and it's not conceited in order to say that, because I believe that conceit and confidence are different. I believe that conceit is when you got to put someone else down or say, yeah, compared to someone else, there is a superiority. Not what I'm talking about at all. I'm just saying I own what I got, and I am looking after it to the best of my ability. And sometimes I smoke a bit of weed and fall down my knee in purity to be the conduit for something other than what is true and original for me. Yeah, it's what I wrote about in Fully Committed, The Sacred Sojourn of Now, back in 2022, when I got that published 5 years after I thought it was due. Yeah. The law of gender is at play, which is also the law of gestation, did you know? Under the 7 Hermetic Principles, Paul Martinelli used to teach these in the John Maxwell team that I was a entrenched member in the program for 7 years because I dated a faculty member for 4 of those years. I was a founding member, separate from that before that, on my own, and then I also sold the program for nearly a year and a half. I attended 11 certification events in Orlando or West Palm Beach, Florida, where they were hosted, and I only paid to do it the first time because my ex graciously, thank you Christian, paid for me to actually go to the ones when we were together, because I added value and he wanted his woman beside him, as a man should. Or however it is that you find love, the one that you want to share yourself with, wouldn't you want them with you? Which is why I'm here with the man that I not revere, but do hold so close to my heart and find so precious. And don't mention his name only out of protection for him, because what I have realized is that the public and private, there is a mixed war between those 2 forces. It's literally called that. If you look up a mixed war, you'll find that it's no longer my words that are telling you that the mixed war is between the public and private. Now you'll hear the internet say it, and then you'll allow the interconnectedness of what I am saying to resonate as more true than if it only just came from me who has no status, position, title in the online realm, which, okay, not so much online realm. Like, I've been having my YouTube channel since 2015. I've got over 1,300 videos. There's 2,000 plus people subscribed to my channel now. But that could all be taken away in an instant because I don't own that. It just looks like that's my channel. And I can't monetize it because I mentioned an ingredient that is in a product that I mentioned because there were doctors' talks happening that Wayne Peters was hosting a meeting for, that I promoted the series for, because I was really involved with Freedom Over Fear, or Ethics Over Fear, and the Freedom Forum Canada news outlet, alternative news outlet, and attending their weekly meetings, and also the Freedom Rising community, which still meets weekly, and props to everyone that is part of that. But what I find interesting is that on the last call, I stepped forward to share some of my pieces of what I have to impart that is uncommon insight that I intuitively have invited into my awareness, and then also quested for and sought out intellectually. And my mind works in a way where I can find the common thread between many stories and then collapse them into one to tell the story, though it has been long-winded, as I say. But on this last Freedom Rising call a few weeks ago, what I found so fascinating is that afterwards I connected with two of the women that were on these calls, and one of the women, both absolutely beautiful and lovely, and wanted to know what my group was resisting, what we were fighting against, and I said nothing. It is time for us to stop reacting and resisting and to actually create. And I'm looking to create a community of care, a culture of care that creates community of caring people, people who care for themselves and also who care for others. That's what I want to help create, co-create. I'm not doing it alone. Partners support the process of bringing that forward. And so why I no longer speak of the one I share my life with, now quite literally in the space, and also the grace that comes with partnering and teaming up and across with others. And then there is the element of teaming down, partnering down, that we have to be aware of in order to not be drugged down into the underrealms of the corporate realm, where the corpse orates through us who work on behalf of that which we become half of as an employee who identifies fully with the status, compared to recognize that we do the thing we are then defined by until auxiliary verbiage converts us. And what do I mean? Well, it seems French class back in the day was really useful after all. Very useful, incredibly useful, yes. But my point, Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp, did you know that that is la maison d'être, which means the house of being, where Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp is a mnemonic or memory tool to remember the verbs that use être instead of avoir, être being to be, avoir being to have, and j'allais is I go. So no longer are we talking about the be, do, and have that Paul Martinelli always used to talk about in the JMT, while I was part of the program that then brought so much of my identity out with the relationships and the dynamics that I had within that community. It's mind-blowing how this is flowing, and I said that at 14:14 when I took a pause to drink my coffee and say, I am standing one-legged at this moment, if you must know. I am balancing because that's what the phone's doing too, and we are all doing with our time. I'm just gonna find the center point of the camera and say, the special practice is the way that we actually can use the information that I've assembled, but do it in a practical way for you. The special practice was a formula that I actually received, channeled, whatever, thought of. I was the first to put the acronym together. And it's important because I've got friends that are home now, and so I'm going to tell you another time, but I'm going to say that the way you will find out is by going to PIWU.ca and subscribing to receive those emails today. Not today, I won't be sending an email, but you'll automatically receive a lineup of emails that were already written a couple years ago, actually. So those are still long wordy ones, but I'm going to revamp that this week coming. And I'm getting things into a better order, which is also akin to ordeal in a different way. And maybe it is when we heal the two that we are in the middle. Woo!